What's up, Itty Bitty Committee? Welcome to another episode of the Itty Bitty Podcast. My name is Perry Phillips. This week on the show, we talk about hip-hop. So, I'm a big fan of hip-hop. I've been into it for a long time. So, we have a special guest. His name's Jimmy the Human, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about how he got into hip-hop, couple different things about where he got started, where he's at now. So it's a really cool interview if you're into that type of thing. Make sure you check it out. And if you've been digging the show, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and share the shit out of the show. Tell all your friends. But remember, this is not a hip hop podcast. It's the Itty Bitty Podcast. It's anything but, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Itty Bitty Podcast. It's the Itty Bitty Podcast. It's the Itty Bitty Podcast. The Itty Bitty Podcast.
All right, so we're rolling, and my guest this week on the Itty Bitty Podcast is rapper Jimmy the Human. So, Jimmy, thanks for coming on and talking to my listeners. You were one of the first people that actually reached out to me when I got the podcast started, so I had kind of kept you on the back burner, and once I kind of figured out how to get my remote podcast situation figured out, I wanted to get you on the phone and talk to you a little bit. I was digging your music, so thanks for coming on.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, man.
So, where are you from again?
I'm from Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine. So that's where you're out of. That's where your music is out of.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I do everything out of Portland. I've lived here most of my life. And, it's a pretty small city. There's only 70,000 people in the city of Portland, but it's up and coming. There's a high demand to live here right now. It's very diverse, very rich in the arts. And I think there's an opportunity for me to make a living off music here. I just got to keep working my ass off,
And then did you get into hip hop while living in Portland, or how did you kind of get into the hip hop scene?
Yeah, so when I was like 5 or 6, I started listening to 50 Cent, Chingy, Eminem. Those were like probably the first 3 rappers that I really fucked with.
Okay.
And I just memorized all the words to, songs in their CDs and stuff. And that was how I first started listening, and then in middle school I started writing. High school started freestyling, and it's just been a very natural progression. Now I'm at the point where it's definitely what I want to do for a living. I've released 30 songs this year alone.
And how long have you been doing it?
Oh man. So I started recording in 2015, but and that was when I realized, like, this is probably what I want to do. And it's just been a matter of changing that mindset from this is what I want to do to this is what I am going to do. And, there's a huge difference there. It's very hard to be your own boss. But in summer of 2015, so about 4 years ago, I guess I started doing it, but I was being lazy. I'd only do a few songs a year.
Right.
And about a year ago, I really started working my ass off.
Well, I'd have to imagine if you're like in hip hop as an independent artist, that you're not only, you're the artist, but you're also your promoter. You probably outsource your beats, though, I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah, it definitely depends. There are some beats that I make that are co-produced, but a lot of the times I will what's called lease a beat. You just buy it. Basically, a producer has it in his beat store, and so you pay like $20 or whatever, and and then I just get to use the music. Or what I like better is when there's no financial exchange. I reach out to the dude. I say, yo, I like this instrumental, but I want to change X, Y, Z. And if you work with me, I'll put your name in the song title next to mine, and we'll split the royalties.
Kind of work together.
Yeah, that's a much better model, I think, because then you get better music, if you just collaborate on the song in general.
And now, I'm originally from New England. That's where I grew up. I'm out on the West Coast now, but originally from Massachusetts. Now, are you somebody who ventures out from Portland, or are you just basically, since you're still fairly new, are you just kind of getting your resume up and kind of sticking around Portland, or do you have plans to kind of expand throughout New England and further on?
I'm going to stay in Portland right now because it's an up and coming city and business is booming around here. A lot of money is coming into the city right now. And I think for that reason alone, it's a good place to stay. But, property values increasing. And honestly, I just love it here so much. I really, really love this place. I don't see myself leaving for a while. I think I want to try and make it happen where I'm at.
Nice. Well, a lot of times, smaller market, you have a better opportunity to connect more with your fans and stuff locally. So, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So, when you first are getting into hip hop, you said you listened to 50 Cent. You said Eminem. So you had a couple of different influences and stuff. Is there any specific, point where you realized that you wanted to be making hip hop? Because I know you said that you decided that you wanted to do it full time. Is there a point when you said where you actually realized that you wanted to do it full time?
Yeah. So I was home. I had just gotten home from college for the summer. And so this is May of 2015. And me and my buddy were smoking dabs on my back deck. And I was super duper baked. And so my parents said they were going to be gone for a few hours. And, they weren't cool with me smoking at this time. I'm like 18, 19 at the time. And so then they said, they said they were going to be home for a few hours. Me and my homie just on the back deck getting real baked. And then like 5 or 10 minutes after we were done smoking, my parents came home. I guess their plans got canceled or something. So they came right back home. And oh my God, dude, it was so hard to talk to them. And I just, I tried to get through it. And they asked me like if I was happy at college and stuff. And I was not at all. I was studying business. I don't give a fuck about business, but they were having this conversation with me like all about my future, what I want to do with my future. And so I was just brutally honest with them, way more honest than I would normally be if I was sober. And I just told them, like, honestly, like, I love music and I like to rap, and that's really the only thing I enjoy. I kind of hate business and business school. And they were they handled it so much better than I thought they would. And we ended up having this really, really good conversation for like 2 hours about my future. And I decided I wasn't going to go back to college. I was going to stay in Portland and see where this music thing takes me.
Do you think you would have had that conversation if you weren't wrecked off those dabs?
I don't think I would have, no.
So, hey, there you go. There's a little PSA for the good things that dabs can do for you.
That's right.
For some reason, I like taking dabs, but I've chilled on taking dabs before podcasts just because it's hard to form sentences when you're dabbed out and shit. So, but
yeah, I agree. I haven't smoked in like a month, but I love weed and I like working with it. Like I do some trimming. I trim bud, and it's good money.
So
people need it.
Is weed part of your process as far as like creatively writing and all that stuff?
Yeah, it depends on the song. I do most of my music sober. I'll tell you one thing. Most of the time, if I'm thinking of lyrics, I'm probably not thinking of anything too great if I'm high. Right. most of my best lyrics are my usable lyrics are written sober. But what I can do when I'm baked is come up with flows and melodies. You know, like if I hear a beat, I can just, and I'm high, I'll just like get into that state of non-thinking, and I can just flow on shit. That's what the weed's good for me at least.
Nice. So as far as performing, have you performed? Are you currently performing? Are you working stuff out? What can you tell me about that stuff?
Yeah, I've definitely been performing. So I'm the second most played rapper in the state of Maine. The guy above me had a single that went gold. He released it about 10 years ago, and so that has just grown his fan base to like an unbelievable level. He's got this huge cult following. And so, but I'm second, and so I'm pretty happy with that, but I definitely want to be first. And also, it's fucking Maine we're talking about. Like, there's a shit ton of rappers here, and I respect them. I pay homage to them, but like, really, it's not Massachusetts, it's not New York. It's, being second in a big state, but a state with more people and more of a scene would actually mean something. But to answer your question, long story short, yeah, I definitely have enough fans to put on shows. Like I recently performed at a venue in Portland called Bullfini's, and they said we packed it more than they've ever seen on that night. So that was pretty cool. And I'm spacing out. I don't perform too often because I think a lot of artists make the tactical error of performing all the time, and then it's like it's not special, Like if you're performing fucking 20 times a year in the same fucking city, same state, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just not, there's no appeal.
It's kind of like,
yeah.
No, I was just going to say, it's kind of like when Netflix puts out, comedy specials there's like 6 of them a week, and it kind of takes away the appeal of it being special.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly, man.
So what do you, performing aside, well, not performing aside, but what part do you prefer more? Do you prefer to do the performances live and kind of be there with the fans, or do you prefer the creative side where you're, writing, recording, and all that stuff?
Oh, that's a tough call. I like to perform. I really do. I would say performing is better. Being with my fans is like the best feeling ever, dude. I fucking love hanging out with my fans. Like I went to a house party recently in Standish, which is like a smaller, more rural town. Portland's like I said, a city. It's pretty densely packed with people, but I was at this house party like 30, 40 minutes out west, and I didn't realize I had a lot of fans out there, and it was so nice to meet them all and just talk to them. They tell me what their favorite songs are and just find out about their lives, find out who they are and, who the people are that are fucking making this thing move, making it happen. So I have to say there's meeting my fans. There's no feeling like that, but God, I love recording too. Dude, that's a really tough situation. I'll answer it like this. My plan for the next year or so, maybe even a couple years, is to record more than I perform. Because if I keep recording and my Spotify numbers keep growing and the Spotify revenue keeps growing, then I'll have enough money to tour with a live band. And so, because when I go on tour, I don't want to I'm not a big fan of the rap shows where it's just a guy and a mic. It's right. Like, to me, like, that's not enough. Your fans came out here to see you. If they wanted to hear you yell into a mic and, everybody put your hands up. Like, I've been to good rap shows where it's just the rapper and the microphone, but like the live band, bro, like that shit is so sick. So that's what I want for my, I want my live performance to be like a real experience, guitar solos,
Right.
bass solos,
Nice.
you know what I'm saying? Backup singers, yeah.
So kind of that's your goal for the next couple years is to just kind of get to where you can get those live performances really live with a live band, and that's cool.
Yes, absolutely.
It gives people a better show too, I think, when you do it with a live band. So that's, not a lot of people like even put in the consideration to want to do that. So that's really cool. I did want to ask you, not to jump around too much, but we kind of get off subject on this show a lot. But I did want to ask about your YouTube channel. I've checked out a few of your different videos. So what's the process like for that? I know in this age you can reach so many more people with, for a while music videos were really popular when I was young. I'm 30 years old right now. When I was younger, music videos were everywhere. You'd get out of school, run home, watch TRL, see which music video was playing, and then they kind of went away. But now with YouTube, you kind of have that resurgence of music videos, and so is that something that you try to use as a tool, or is that something more that's for your fans where you can kind of communicate with them and then give them more of a creative side piece to go with the music or whatever?
On January 1st of this year, I decided I was going to do a bi-weekly song series. Every 2 weeks I was going to release a song, and I was going to have a video to go with it. And so I stuck to that. I did it all the way from January 1st to September 9th, which was my birthday this year. And the reason I did that and the reason I did those videos was, discipline. I knew that I was capable of making a shit ton of music and doing it in a timely fashion. And so I wanted to, regiment my schedule, make a structured schedule that guarantees me dropping plenty of music. And my other thing was to get my name out there more. I wanted to see how many fans I could accumulate off of YouTube. And it's been a cool experience. It's been really a pretty amazing experience because, like my biggest song on YouTube, now has like 207,000 views, which I think might even be a little bit more than my biggest song on Spotify. So there is definitely possibility. There's room to grow on YouTube, but I'm just worried about the future of YouTube. I don't know where, they seem to be headed in a weird kind of a murky place. Like, I don't know if you've heard anything about this, but
no, what do you mean by that?
So a lot of people are a lot of content creators on YouTube are struggling for views, it seems. And that's just a personal observation, a personal opinion. Seems that, if they don't pay money to get their songs out there, they're not going to get out there. I really believe it takes a shit ton of money to get a YouTube channel off the ground. Your content has to be good, but then on top of that, you really have to have a lot of money because there's an unbelievable amount of competition. So many different people want to make it happen on YouTube. And the other problem is with censorship. YouTube is getting very strict.
I think I have heard stuff about that.
Yeah, very politically correct. So, they're making it harder and harder for those of us with profanity in our music to earn money off YouTube. Even if we did get a solid following, it's like, well, what's the incentive really? You're going to sink $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $12,000 into your YouTube channel, and get, let's say you worked your ass off, released a lot of shit, and you got like 100,000 subscribers. But then all of a sudden, YouTube decides, well, if you use any curse words, we're going to demonetize you completely. Yeah. Well, there goes my entire fucking portfolio. So it's, I don't know. It's tough. It's really, I think, risky to get into right now,
It's kind of like if it's a good way to spread the word, but it's not something that you would rely on, is kind of what I'm getting out of that.
Yeah, and it's too bad because I think a lot of people listen to music solely on YouTube. Like some people, some of my fans have told me like, oh, I just listen to you on YouTube. Like, I don't listen to you anywhere else. And I'm like, well, fuck, man. Like, that blows, because that means they're gonna miss out. You know, if I stop dropping videos, they're gonna miss out. So yeah, it's tricky, man. But
All right, I have a 2-part question for you for this next one. So my first part of the question is going to be, what is your favorite hip hop beef of all time? And then the second part of that question will be, alive or dead, if you could get into a hip hop beef with any artist, who would it be?
Oh shit. Okay. So the first question is my favorite. You're saying beef, right? BEEF?
Yeah. So like, you know, famous, you know, Biggie, Tupac, that type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, probably my favorite. Okay. Sorry, just I need a couple seconds here.
No, that's fine.
Favorite. It was really fucking funny to watch MGK just get absolutely destroyed by Eminem.
Yeah.
I thought that was a hilarious hip hop beef, because it was just such a lopsided match.
Yeah, and that one kind of came out of nowhere too, so that was kind of, I like that one.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, I loved that. Kill Shot was an unbelievable
The
song.
other one I liked too that was kind of fun, that was like not one that anybody got shot or hurt in, but when Ja Rule bought a bunch of tickets for, or not Ja Rule, 50 Cent bought a bunch of tickets for Ja Rule's show, like for the front row, so people would be empty. So that shit was funny too. That was one of my favorites.
Dude, when I heard about that, oh my god, that was one of the funniest fucking
That's
things.
like the pettiest shit you can do.
Oh my god, yeah, I thought that shit was so funny, bro. Yeah, wow, what a great idea from 50 Cent. Just that concept is hilarious. Man, favorite. I mean, the Biggie and Tupac stuff is obviously, you know, I went, like everybody did, I went through a huge phase with it where, like, you know, I was really obsessed. I'm like, oh, dude, is Tupac alive? You know, that whole thing. So that would probably have to be my top, at least up there. Trying to think. Oh, Drake and Meek Mill was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was one. Meek Mill kind of, you know, well, he was in jail for a while, and then he kind of came back, and because he was in jail, I think everybody kind of forgot that he, you know, lost that mini beef to Drake, and then he actually came back and he still puts out some fire shit. I still listen to some Meek Mill shit, but
yeah, now him and Drake are doing songs together, which is funny.
Yeah.
Rick Ross, you ever heard the song Idols Become Rivals? Rick Ross, and he's rapping about the Birdman.
No.
Or Birdman, dude. So it's called Idols Become Rivals. And the song title pretty much speaks for itself. But he's just talking about how Birdman screwed over everybody on his label, like just totally fucked him over and kept all the money for himself. And so that was a really good song. And it's funny to think about how everybody in the game hates Birdman now. What's really interesting is when you break it down, there is an unbelievable amount of beef in hip hop. Like, you could pretty much go to any of the GOATs, or most of them, like Jay-Z, Nas, fucking Jay-Z, Kanye West. It's like, dude, there's so much beef. And I think I really believe that hip hop is the most egotistical genre to ever exist.
Well, I think it's the only genre where you have people that have songs about being the best. Like, you don't hear country singers singing about being, you know, the number one country singer, or, you know, anything like that. Like, they don't talk about spitting hot fire and shit like that. They just,
right.
it's just, yeah, it's one of those unique things that's part of the reason I like it so much, because it gets you pumped up for shit when you listen to it.
Yeah, me too. It's just crazy how it's so fucking ego influenced. The NWA beefs are pretty cool too. But yeah, man, probably Biggie Pac for now. And if I could get into a rap beef with anybody, oh my God, that's so hard. Dude, fucking R. Kelly, because everybody already hates him.
Yeah,
And
I
he
guess that's
fucking, like,
win-win.
abused, like sexually abused chicks. That'd be kind of cool. Just like diss him, and he like comes back, and
Yeah,
you know, because that'd be a battle you win every time, right?
he would come back at you with like a 10-minute song from inside the closet again.
Yeah, probably him. Probably R. Kelly. I would totally fucking have a beef with Logic though.
Logic?
For sure. Oh yeah, dude, 100%.
For what reason?
Well, I used to be like his biggest fan, dude, like his biggest fucking fan. Back when in like the early 2010, like that area, he released the Young Sinatra mixtapes, and they were lyrically so much better than his new stuff. His new stuff, I just personally feel like there's no content. He's not saying anything with his lyrics, and it kind of drives me insane. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say he puts out a lot. It's hard to get excited when a new Logic album comes out because he just puts out so much shit.
Yeah, which I mean is whatever, but it's just, again, the lyrics are usually there's just no fucking story. There's no substance. It's like it just really, my issue with it is that it feels like he's not trying at all, and it really drives me nuts. So
it sounds like you should write It sounds like you should write a diss track.
I did actually. I released it too. It's a whole song dissing Logic, but then I deleted it because it's so much worse than all the other shit I have out. It's just, it's just so much less good.
Right.
But the thing that really irks me about Logic, I guess, is his manager had a meeting. So this would have been, I believe, April of 2017. So his manager meets with Joyner Lucas, and Joyner Lucas is manager. And at this time, Joyner was way smaller, way smaller, and Logic was already pretty fucking huge. And Joyner was talking about how Logic is like an influence of his. He wants to like go on tour with Logic, and Logic's manager, got excited about the idea. So things are going well at this meeting. Joyner's happy, and so Logic asked Joyner about what he's been working on. So this is right before Joyner Lucas released his album. And so he showed Logic's manager his whole album, showed him a bunch of the videos, etc. And the title of that album by Joyner Lucas was the phone number for a suicide hotline. Dude, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, right before Joyner dropped his album, Logic released a song, the fucking song that has made him more money, gotten him more fans, more fame than anything else in his entire fucking career, more than it ever will. And he released that right before Joyner released his album. Like, dude, that is the sleaziest bullshit I've ever heard. Like that, and that just made me so fucking angry, like, because he just stepped on a little guy like that. And all Logic had to do was be like, yo, thank you so much, Joyner, for inspiring me, like inspiring that idea, or pay him off a lot of money. But it wasn't like that. And so then Joyner actually spoke out against Logic. And they had like a little mini beef going on at one point. I don't know if you ever heard about that.
No, I never heard about that. I'm a big Joyner Lucas fan. Cause, again, I'm from Massachusetts, so you're from Maine, so I'm sure you're probably a fan
Hell
too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm actually, I know his engineer pretty well, Brian Knox. Like, he goes to this guy's house to record his stuff, and Knox like makes all his beats and shit. But anyways, Joyner, so that just really upset me, and they ended up making amends because I don't know if you've heard the song ISIS, but it's got Logic and Joyner on it.
I don't know if I have heard that.
So since their beef, they have a song together.
Okay, so they kind of worked it out. Yeah, I was gonna say I think Joyner's gonna be all right. I mean, he's super talented.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up, blowing up anyway because of "I'm Not Racist."
Right. Yeah,
got the Grammy nomination from that song. I ended up working with Eminem and shit. But yeah, dude, just so that would be why I would choose Logic for a rap beef.
Nice. Well, I think that's a good one. Yeah, that was a good, good reason behind it. And so, yeah, I think that's a legit rap beef. Good answer for sure. So where do you usually, as far as like the creative process comes from, where do you usually get inspiration from your songs? Like, are you more somebody who raps about things that are personal to you? Or are you somebody who just kind of raps about the day to day? Like what type of stuff can people expect if they listen to you?
Yeah, anything on that spectrum. Sometimes I rap. All my shit is very personal to me. You know, like if I wrote it and I was willing to put it in a song, it's probably because I really wanted to say it, or it's on my mind a lot. You know, or I want to say it in real life, but I can't, so I put it in a song. Yeah, I would say my rap is very personal, but in terms of subject matter, man, it totally varies. Like, I wrote a song called Rusty. This is an old ass joint, but this whole song is about a fucking house cat, like a pet cat. And the song is an allegory. And for those listening, an allegory is basically just like an analogy in the form of a story. So the house cat Rusty looks out into his backyard, wonders what it would be like to be an outdoor cat, to just run free in the wild, and he dreams about it at night, and it's what he wants to do. But he's too scared to leave the house because he doesn't know how it's going to be out in the wild. And so eventually he works up the courage. He sees like one of the doors in the house open, just a crack, and he sprints and runs out of the house. And in the song, he ends up dying. Like a couple weeks later, he ends up dying, you know, because he didn't have any shelter or anything, you know. He probably, you know, food was very limited out in the wild. But the point is, what's the last line of the song? A week later, Rusty passed away. Living conditions were treacherous, but Rusty smiled as he passed, knowing that he was a lucky one. Most cats never get to live. That's the last line of the song. And, you know, so it's like, dude, it's way, way, way better to die knowing that you fucking try to do what you love than to live some miserable existence with, you know, working some job you fucking hate.
Right. So, yeah. And so as far as, like, you know, some of the newer stuff that's out there, are there any new artists that you kind of that you dig, that you've been listening to, that not necessarily like are inspirations or anything like that, but just that kind of like where they're going and that you think people should check out?
Yes. Yeah. Token is my favorite artist of all time. He's also from Massachusetts. He's from Salem. And do you know Token?
I'm trying to think. The name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure if I do.
Okay. So he actually uses the same audio engineer producer as Joyner Lucas. And I think he's one of the best lyricists in the entire world right now, at least in hip hop. I would highly recommend people check him out. Other artists that I fuck with, I'll leave it a Token for now.
Okay. So earlier in the conversation, you talked a little bit about, you know, the political correctness of YouTube. And I know hip hop has a kind of history of not necessarily being politically correct. Do you think that hip hop now is more kind of not necessarily dangerous, like physically dangerous? I'm talking about dangerous as far as like what you can say, and with cancel culture and all that stuff. Do you think that people are kind of toning down the way that they write hip hop these days, or do you think that it's, you know, people are kind of saying fuck that and doing it the way that they want to?
So I think in my city, people are super politically correct. And it's actually really sad because that one rapper, the biggest rapper in the state, Spose, he has all these people that almost work under him And I think they like always repost his songs when he releases them, and like, you know, they like get features from him, which they would probably have to pay for if I had to guess. But it is like a political agenda to this group. You know what I mean? Like you can't say certain things. You can't be misogynistic. You can't like, you know, you have to like follow their like footprints, or else like you're not in their little clique. And so I'm not in their clique because I don't follow those fucking footprints at all. I mean, if you listen to my music, which you have, you know, there's a lot of profanity, a lot of vulgar, because I'm just like unloading all this shit that I can't say in the real world, but it fits well into a rap song. So yeah, I definitely think political correctness is becoming a thing. And even just word choices, man. Like there are certain words that people like rappers don't use in songs because they don't want people to dislike them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, words to describe, whether it's a word to describe like a disabled person, or a word to describe, you know, it doesn't even matter. You know what words I'm thinking of. But they won't use those because they think that, you know, they'll have less fans. People will disagree with them politically, which is probably true. And there are certain words that I won't use out of respect. You know what I mean? But I have to stay true to myself. And I personally believe that the political correctness has gone way too far. So I won't limit. There are some things that I'm just not willing to compromise. And I've actually lost features. You know, I've lost collabs with artists because they don't want their name on that. And they think, you know what I mean? They think it's too far, and that's their decision.
I found that they were kind of quicker to slap explicit on like albums these days too. I was listening to something. There was one album I listened to. I think it was the Blanco Brown album, and I think he said "fuck" one time on the album, and I think they slapped it with an explicit content. And I'm like, it used to be like you could get away with, you know, saying one or two things, and if you had shit about sex or drugs and other content like that, then they would slap an explicit content. But now it seems like you say one word and they slap that on there. So
yep.
So you kind of have a unique flow as far as the way that you rap. Is that something that took you? I've always liked, you know, hip hop's one of my favorite forms of music. I just could never do it. I could never catch the beat. I could never do any of that stuff. And don't believe me, I tried. Is that something that took you a while to get used to, or is that something that you just kind of came natural?
Rhythm, I think, has always come pretty naturally to me. Yeah, but I will say this: it is definitely a muscle that you build and a skill that you build when you improving your flow. Like you get better and better and better at knowing where to put the syllables, and then building the skill of objectivity is very important. To be able to listen to your own music and be able to look at it closely enough and be like, yo, oh, that syllable is what's sounding weird. This is awkward. You know, this part right. You know, like I can't have an S right there because it doesn't sound right leading into the next word. Those are definitely skills that, you know, time again you build. I can say this: part of the reason that I've achieved the songwriting level that I'm at is because of repetition. I did out the math, and in my phone, I have 11 different unassigned bar folders, just bars that I write that I think of on a day-to-day basis that don't go to anything. And I did out the math just based on how many characters I have in each folder. It's enough for like a 600 to 700 page book. So, you know, it's a lot.
So do you use that stuff and kind of piece it together to come up with songs, or do you usually write, like when you're working on a song, does that whole process start from beginning to end with one song?
So yeah, you know, I've definitely, like, my last release is Incomplete Ass Rappers, and I've definitely had
I like that song, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That one I wrote the verse first. The first verse I wrote, I thought it would be a funny concept for a song to talk shit, like just call out all these incomplete rappers that are, maybe decent at one thing and terrible at another thing. And so then I just found the beat and the beat fit, so then I just tweaked a few of the syllables, add a word here, take a word out there. And it happened like that. But a lot of the time, like you said, or like we talked about earlier, I'll hear the beat, and the first thing that comes to me is the flow. I know how I'm going to flow on it, and then I got to fill it in with words. So that's, in that case, I probably can't use very many of my unassigned bars. So it all just depends. But like right here, like I'm in my unassigned bars right now. Right here, you want to hear some shit that I wrote the other day?
Sure.
It's I would like this to go to a song eventually, but it's got like a very specific bounce to it. It's just like the bounce that I was hearing, while I was writing it, I guess. But it's just a little verse about like the concept of money and like how people are willing to do like sickening things for money sometimes. But I don't have a beat to it yet, but I'll work with some producers and find the right one. But it's like this. Fun fact, there's a reason rappers only rap about cash. We prefer to make it just to make the time pass. Really, I'm disgusted with the things that I'm doing for a bag, but I ain't gotta rap about that. Hit it from the back before I'm calling for a cab. Tuck a rats in, making sure that she asleep. Then I'm in the kitchen and I'm taking all the liquor, get her dinner out the fridge before I'm dipping out the pad. Guarantee she hit this shit and probably get mad. If I see her in the street, I bet I'ma get smacked. Stealing from my job in the same fucking day, ask my boss for a raise, I bet I'ma get that. Put it in a rasp before I put it in the past. I'm a fucking tank and I'm putting in the gas. Money ain't love, but it is a fun drug, and it's still the only one that I can smoke with my dad. And that's why I got so far. But like eventually, thanks, dude. Eventually, I'd like that to be a song.
Yeah, so you just build that, and so how do you go about picking beats? Like, is it just something that fits, or do you ever have to tweak the words to fit like you see a beat that you're like, okay, I want this beat to fit this song, or is it just it has to match?
Yeah, definitely. So like I actually showed a few producers those bars, and I described like the kind of bounce, like the way I wanted the beat to feel, and so they've like made me a couple custom beats. And when I listen, when I rap along to them, I'm like, okay, this beat, it almost fits perfect, but I'm just gonna have to like maybe add a word to this one line and take this word out. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Nice. Now, do you have any, you've been in hip hop for a little while. Do you have any good, like, kind of wild stories that kind of go along with hip hop? Like, anything that happened that would have only happened because you were involved in hip hop?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely do. That's hard. It's hard to choose one. The first one that comes to mind is having the balls to talk to people. Asking you shall receive. It's a scary thing for some people, and myself included sometimes, if I'm feeling insecure. It can be a scary thing when you just met someone and they ask you what you do, and you say, yo, I rap. Like, rap is what I love to do. Because to some people it sounds like a joke, or they think rappers are stupid, or they think rappers are trashy, or they think, that they automatically assume you're just like some tool who has no fucking fans, So it can be like an intimidating thing to say, but if you're willing to tell people about that, that's how you get connections in the industry and shit. For example, I was working at a bank at the time, and I told this guy that I rapped, and I was like, yeah, it's a bummer because I can't get anywhere. I'm not 21 yet. I can't go to any of these rap nights in Portland. And this guy was like, yo, actually, there's some place you can go. He's like, I think it was every Monday night. He's like, every Monday night, there are ciphers in this alleyway in Portland. He's like, where Exchange Street is, and I did. He's like, go there on Monday, like at like 9 p.m. That's when they meet up. Dude, and so sure, I brought my ass down there. I didn't know anybody. I practiced freestyling a few days leading up to it.
Can I stop you real quick?
Yeah.
Can you just explain for anybody who doesn't know what a cipher is, what a cipher is?
Oh yeah, for sure. So a cipher is just when you basically gather in a circle and freestyle. Whether it's on beatbox or you're just playing beat tapes. That's what a cipher is.
Okay.
And so I showed up and it was a little intimidating at first. Everybody was considerably older than me. There was like a lot of break dancers, a lot of drugs, but it was fun. There's like 30 people in this alley just kicking it, spitting freestyles. And I birthed my fucking rap career, my rap life, like all the people I know in the city off alleyway ciphers. That was how I got started.
Oh, that's how you got it. So the first time you rapped, it was at an alleyway cipher?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, I got in like a rap battle in like high school, but that was just like we were at a party, we were all fucking hammered, it was like a joke. But to actually meet people who like were trying to do this for a living and shit, and we're putting on shows and stuff. That it's like the start of my actual career was alleyway ciphers. And so I love those guys. They were so fucking welcoming, very very accepting. And yeah, I guess that was a cool experience, a cool thing that would not have happened without hip hop. I kind of recently got my first cosign too. Do you know MF Grimm?
Say that one more time.
MF Grimm.
No.
Do you know MF Doom?
I do know MF Doom.
Okay, so MF Doom was releasing music under MF Grimm's label. MF Grimm is a rapper as well, and he actually gave MF Doom. So you know what MF stands for?
I can't remember, but I know it's that's their group name, right?
Exactly, yeah. So MF stands for Metal Face.
Metal Face.
And so
right.
like MF Doom, he wears like that metal mask.
Yeah, I first heard of MF Doom on Czarface's album. The Czarface meets MF Doom.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Grimm put the MF in Doom's name, and they've released a bunch of music together. MF Doom's biggest song on Spotify is him and MF Grimm. But anyways. Grimm is a friend of mine, and he found my music like a couple months ago through a contest. He was holding a contest and I entered, and then he found my catalog and he I'm proud to say that he really fucks with me, anyways, that was that was a big moment for me. I guess to me, it's like a cool story, and I can't say too much about, our working relationship and the things that are coming up, but yeah, I can say that that's one of my, that was a big moment for me to have somebody, have like a friend and a mentor with so much experience in the field, rather than I've been teaching myself everything. It was nice to have somebody that's can maybe guide me a little bit
and kind of bounce ideas off and shit too.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, another weird ass thing, dude. My last girlfriend, like one of the coolest human beings on fucking planet Earth. Her initials are RAP.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I always thought that was like an omen. I'm like, okay, like, when we broke up, or even when we were together, I'm like, all right, that is for sure a sign that I need to rap.
That's my mom's initials too, but she's not a rapper.
That's awesome.
She hates hip hop. It's like her least favorite form of music. So that's usually what I put on. That's what I put on to fuck with her usually. So,
yeah.
So, as before I start wrapping it up here, I just wanted to have you tell people kind of where they can find you, and if you've got anything local that you want to plug right now, any shows coming up, where can people find you, like on social media, online, all that stuff?
Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram. My Instagram is just jimmy.v.human. And my music's anywhere music is sold. In terms of shows, I got a show coming up on January 11th. That's going to be at Flask Lounge in Portland, Maine. And just fucking thank you to all my fans and Benji and Jason, Sierra, John Regan, my whole creative team. You guys are fucking amazing. I owe you the world.
Do you have anything else any other stories or anything else you wanted to tell before we wrap it up here today? Any other good stories?
Oh shit. Any good stories, man? Oh, damn it. As soon as we hang up, I'm going to think of some shit. All right. No, I don't think I have anything right now.
No, I didn't want to put you on the spot. We can always have you on again.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be my honor. But hell yeah, and shout out Itty Bitty Podcast, dude. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah, I definitely. If you haven't checked out Jimmy the Human, check him out. I'm going to get off the call here in a second. Jimmy, thank you for coming on, and I'll text you and stuff to reach out and let you know when this will air. But thanks again for everybody for tuning in. And Jimmy, again, thanks for coming on the show.
Yep, and thank you for having me, Perry. Appreciate you.
All right, later, brother.
Take care.
All right, thanks again for tuning in to the Itty Bitty Podcast. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, review, share. Subscribe, rate, review, share. Check us out online, ittybittypodcast.com, and all our socials, Facebooks, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Check out our other podcast, Choice Nugs Only. If you haven't checked that one out too, make sure you follow and subscribe to that one to check out all the latest episodes. And I'll see you guys next week. I think next week's Thanksgiving, and it's be like our 20th episode, so it should be fun. So we'll see you next week. Peace.